I used to be in Cam's shoes as the PC coach, and I know how what I would say is amazing that role is to think about how can I help other agents grow their business on a consistent basis. And one, I just want to give Cam a shout out. I sit with him every Monday, and he shares with me his plans on how he's helping agents in our office to be able to grow. And we had a cool conversation about kind of a mental model, I'll call it, a way that he sees marketing and prospecting and lead generation. And I said, this was something that we should actually talk about in front of the whole office because I think it's very relevant when it comes to how do I get results faster and more effectively in 2025. And so we're going to have that kind of repeat conversation, just chat about it, chat through it. And I hope you take some notes, but also feel free to ask questions. This is, again, a little bit less formatted team meeting where if you have some questions you want to press on, throw those out as we go through this conversation. But here's the question that we're going to answer. Where can I focus my attention to get massive results in 2025, but specifically quarter two? So how do I start getting results for Q2 right now? Okay, where should I focus my attention? And there's really three things that we believe you should focus your energy and attention on right now. And it's going to start with this. Can you refresh the slides just in case?
He did. I had him do that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
This is a cool name for it, Shoney. I like that.
Yeah. Simple.
Yeah. The quadrant.
The quadrant. We're going to draw on the whiteboard, but we might end up getting. Oh, there we go. I'm not going to show it there first.
Okay. Let's draw it. So I had this epiphany when Johnny was talking, but he wasn't talking about this. Do you guys know when you get that? When someone's talking and you get a complete separate idea and they think that they did such a good job presenting because you have all of these notes, but it's just all in your own mind because they mentioned. Yeah, that's how when Johnny teaches. So Gary Keller talks about two different things a lot when he talks about finding clients. He talks about working with people that you've met and people that are non-Mets is what he calls them. So people you know, people you don't know. So we have the Mets and the non-Mets. The other thing that he mentions a whole lot is prospecting versus marketing. What's the difference? Does anyone know? What's the difference between prospecting and marketing?
Sure. Prospecting is where you're actually targeting, people, specifics. Marketing is something that you're going to broadcast to an undefined group of people.
Yep. Yeah. So the prospecting is going and finding that person. The marketing is hoping that they come back from something that you put out there.
One-to-one versus one-to-many.
One-to-one versus one-to-many.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd also say two words, simple words, is reactive, proactive. Like you're proactively going and searching for the next, the now buyers, and then marketing is far more reactive, where you're kind of waiting for somebody to reach out to you. Passive and active. Yep.
So I came up with this thought, if we have these four things, why not just turn them into a quadrant? And if you were to look at this, like, where do you think you should spend your time? What would be the very most important? Oh, good. I drew it just like you did up there.
Top right.
Top right. Why?
Because you know them and you're going to be actively pursuing them.
Yeah. It's the easiest. If you just hang out with prospecting with Mets, that's like the first step that we're always teaching, right? What's the first thing you say to a new agent when they get in real estate? Talk to everyone you know. It's not post on social media. It's not send them a letter. It's not do a Google ad to someone else. It's prospect to the Mets. So I think that should be your very big focus as number one, is prospecting to your Mets. So let's imagine that you're chugging through December here and you call everyone you know. You call your entire database. You reach out to them. Where should you focus your next effort? Marketing to the Mets. Dave, it's like you've had this class or something. I would say do that as well. Has anyone ever gotten a social media lead, like posted on social media and gotten a lead of someone that they didn't know? Don't raise your hand, Kylie. A few of you. How many have you posted on social media and had a real estate conversation, like turn that into a lead with someone that you know? Does that happen all of the time? I never post to social media. One day, Caton made me post that I had it under contract, and I did it, and someone I hadn't talked to in 15 years sent me a message saying they wanted to buy a house. I'm like, oh, it works. She did not buy a house, but it was someone that I knew, and it was very easy to do that. So you focus on your Mets first. Next, we're moving into non-Mets. Prospecting versus marketing with non-Mets. Where do you think you should focus? I have opinions on this. Shoney, what's your opinion? What would you focus on? People you don't know, do you prospect or market first?
Personal style, I would market first. I would build, a brand presence with them, and then start prospecting to them. The prospecting methods, if I were to just say going into prospecting, door knocking would be my preference, just because I can get face to face and have a better chance at maybe converting them into my sphere.
Yeah, I agree completely. The power that marketing has is it's leverageable. Is that a word? You can leverage out everything that you're doing on marketing, right? You can hire a marketing person. You can hire a company to do all of this marketing and generate the leads for you. When you're prospecting, that's kind of hard to do. I can't door knock like Shoney, so I'm not able to have the same results if I were to door knock. I can't go door knock and get leads for Shoney the same way he would get leads for himself. But I could run his marketing just the exact same. We could call Ritz and say, Ritz, do our marketing for us, and he can do it from the Philippines.
Yeah, and maybe some clarification too, why somebody might go into the door knocking or the circle prospecting, right? Making phone calls would be less money, right?
Yep.
You don't have the marketing budget yet to spend on leverage, right? On building out the resources or doing ads, things like that. So that's when you have time, you focus on tasks where it's very low cost or no cost, but it allows you to get out and get prospecting. The one thing I would say, I don't know if anybody has this. I have a very bad habit with this, and you can kind of think through this if you relate in any way. I have a bad habit of trying to take shortcuts, and they end up not being shortcuts. Meaning, I don't know if you've done this, but I've driven down to I-15. The way I get home oftentimes is going to I-15 and going to the Pleasant Grove exit. And sometimes at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, there's a lot of what on I-15? Traffic. So I try to get smart, and I say, well, I'm going to take Geneva, and I'm going to shortcut all of this traffic. And guess what ends up happening? There's way more traffic on Geneva, right? And I've had this happen in so many different ways, but that's one of those examples where I'm like, oh, this is going to be the faster route, and it ends up being longer. What I'll say is I've sat down with a lot of agents, what I've noticed is a lot of people try to take the shortcut by saying, I'm not going to prospect and market to the Mets, the people I actually know that are in my database that have trust already built with me. I'm going to try and focus on these people who I haven't met. And what they realize is it takes so much longer to try and build your business that way. So the one thing that I would encourage for any of you who are in this room is, if you haven't yet, lean fully first into the strategy of your Met database. That is always going to produce the highest results. And then you can start adding intertwining the non-Met database.
Yeah, I like that. Gary always talks about being, he mentions two different things, being marketing-based, prospecting enhanced, or the reverse of that, prospecting-based, marketing enhanced. He likes the marketing-based, prospecting enhanced because you can leverage that. You can pay someone else to do it. So you can generate as many leads as you want if you put enough money in. Well, if you don't have enough money, that's where you should be prospecting-based, marketing enhanced right off of the bat. So focus on the people you know and talking to them first, and then marketing to them, right? Your social media should be geared towards your friends and family, not the random strangers you don't know, because you're less likely to get those leads than your friends and family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you think you need to have excess funds in order to focus on marketing?
Do you need excess funds to focus on marketing?
I would say no. It's how you market is going to be different, right? So, for example, and we'll be showing some, let's call it black belt tips. Like if you're to go very strategic on the strategy, we'll show some of these. This is not one that I have on here. How many of you utilize custom friends lists on Facebook? I raise a hand.
So like categorize your friends?
Yeah, so you can go through and tag people into a custom list. Okay, so we have one person. Okay, so this is why it's called a black belt tip. Very few people know about it or do it. So on Facebook, and just if you don't know how to do it, go to Google or go to ChatGPT and ask, how do I set up a custom list on Facebook for friends? And what you would want to do is say, who are my top 50 or 100 or 200 or whatever the number is that I want to do business with? And what you're going to do is put them into this list. Now, strategically, what you'll do once a month is go and open that specific list. Does anybody know how the algorithms with Facebook work? Who shows up on your feed, and how do they decide if you should show up on somebody else's feed?
Connections, yeah.
Yeah. How much interaction there is,
Comments.
right? So what you want to do is train the algorithm to say, this is a person that I want you to put myself on their feed more often, right? So what I'm going to do is open that list once a month and open their profile, go through one by one, and just look at, is there something recent they've done, a birthday, a vacation, something where I can comment on their feed and interact with them, because I'm teaching Facebook, this is the person that I want to see more on my feed, and I also want to show up more on their feed. Does that make sense? Now, is that paid or free? Free, just costs time, right? And so that's a great way to be able to, again, now when you post the open house or you post the just listed or you post the MOF or whatever you're posting on Facebook, it's more likely for you to show up on their Facebook feed, okay? So that's one strategy that I would utilize.
Yeah, with that, Kylie, Gary Keller says with your Mets, you should be a 1 in 10 conversion rate. That's updated from the MREA. It used to say 2 in 12, right? 1 in 6, kind of an idea. You should get closings. Now he's saying 10% of your people that you know should close business with you every year. The non-Mets is 1 in 50. So you're like a 2% kind of an idea. So if you're looking at who do I market to, who do I talk to, how do I best protect my time, it's going to be with your Mets. But if you run out of people, you know, that's where you have to add non-Mets.
And the only other thing I would say is if you are going and getting people that are in your non-Met and you're marketing to them, they will then be your Mets and you will need to prospect to them. So you need to have a system for doing that so that new people that come into your world are still getting service.
Yeah, your non-Mets turn into Mets when you meet them.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions on this piece? Does it make sense? Getting some blank stares, so I don't know. Is it connecting? Did we miss one of the dots? Ultimately, if we just say, well, hey, how do we simply grow our business? It's first focusing on this side of the quadrant. Now, there's the laws of lead generation. Let me actually see. Does anybody know the 4 laws of lead generation?
I know.
Hunter does.
I saw somewhere crazy, Elon Musk is heading up this department, the DOGE department, right? Department of Government Efficiency. And they talked about how many laws and regulations there are throughout the country. Has anybody seen this? How many there are? Does anybody want to guess how many laws and regulations there are?
Too many.
Over 1 million. Now, how can you know all of those different stupid regulations that have been put in place over the last 100 years? And but when it comes to real estate and building a business, there's actually only 4. So it should be very easy to remember these. Okay. So here's the 4 laws of lead generation. You want to build the database. You need to feed it every day. You want to communicate to it in a systematic way. I know it's not, unfortunately, as clear because of the lighting in here. But then you want to service all the leads that come your way. Okay, those are the 4. So we want to kind of talk about the 4 laws and how to actually execute on these. And yeah, maybe that will help if we turn this off. So ultimately, this is the playbook. It's very simple, and it's also simple not to do. That's the challenge, right? So easy that we sometimes forget to run the playbook. And so if we look at, well, what does it actually mean to build a database? What does that mean to you guys? John?
Well, I took me a while, but I went through all the contacts I have in my cell phone.
Mhm.
I've got 352. So when it comes to, feeding and everything, what that means to me is I've got all these contacts on a spreadsheet. I'm going to import those suckers into my database, and I'm going to start calling like freaking crazy.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, if you think of it as data is the new oil. Data is what's valuable. Okay. Now, for most people, if you open up your phone book on your phone, what pieces of information do you typically have for somebody in your phone? Name and phone number, probably most common. Sometimes their email address. I would actually say that probably you only have 1% to 2% of people with their mailing address in your phone tied to their contact. Not super common, right? Now, when you're in real estate, though, and you're trying to grow a big business, what is absolutely vital? What pieces of information is absolutely vital to growing a solid database? Email, phone number, home address.
Marital status.
There's one more that's missing. Birthday. Yep. That's what I would say is like the core four. There's other things, home anniversary and stuff like that, personal anniversary, stuff like that you can stack up. But what I would say is the core four is email. Obviously, their name is a given, but phone number, birthday, and address, home address. And Gary, he says nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads that you have. So we have to focus on growing a database and then feeding it every day. And what I'd say that second part, feeding it every day, is not only adding new people, but it's adding new information to the current people in the database, right? So if I have their name, their name and email, it might be good for me to take a next step of how can I get their birthday, how can I get their home address, okay? Two ways when it comes to, well, let me just ask, how do some of you top agents, how do you mine for data? How do you collect their home address or their birthday? What are some ways out there? Dan?
Forewarn, that app, it's available for the car. They subsidize the cost of it. I'm in there every day, almost just finding people's.
Yeah.
How old are they? Where do they live?
Yep.
This number who called on my listing, like, are they legit?
Yep.
Forewarn's a great tool.
Yeah, you get these people reaching out to you with a WhatsApp number and saying, "Hey, message me on WhatsApp," right? But you get the ability on Forewarn to go ahead and search with their phone number. So if somebody texts you, you can just put that phone number in Forewarn, and it will pull up who it is and all important information about them, their age, their home address, typically, which is very valuable. It's $50 or $60, I think, through the board. A year, so $5
a month.
Yeah, super cost effective. And so that's a huge opportunity to tap into. Very easy way. What are some other ways? Title? Yep. Do we know a title company? Corby can help out with that. You guys have an app that helps with this. Yep. So if you need. Yeah. Do you do demos with the app? Sweet.
Yeah, I have one today. So, like, if you ever want one, it's awesome. Everybody should be using it.
I can attest, I've used it.
Perfect.
It's great.
Cool. Awesome. Another way, it's manual process, takes some time, but it's worth it. If you're watching Netflix on a Friday night, you can just pull up Facebook, and if you click on the About section, 95% of the time it's there. Sometimes people will hide that on purpose, but most of the time I've found it's theirs. If you click on their About section, for every person that you want to do this for, it will show their birthday. And so you can then put that into command. So that's an easy way to collect birthdays. Again, it's more manual to do that route, but effective. Any other ways? Yes.
When I did my quarterly calls last year, I just asked them.
Just call them and ask
Thank
them.
you.
Yep.
I was waiting for someone to just say ask.
That's the easiest way, right? You're already on a call with them, might as well. And we're going to talk about a very simple way for this time in a second of how to collect the core 4. But the why behind it is super valuable. Cam, why do we need to collect multiple pieces of information in our database?
I think about Costco when I think about this. I never shop at Costco, but my wife does constantly. We get a mailer. I don't even know how often. I always throw it away, so it feels like way too often. We get emails from them. We are there in person, and we are doing all of these things. We don't shop at Sam's Club. My wife has a Sam's Club membership, like from her mom, but we shop at Costco. And I think it's because Costco is doing all of the touches that when we think, what do I want? We think of Costco things. I'm going to eat that Costco healthy bar thing that they have, the one choice that they have. We're not going shopping all around. Yeah. And so I think the more information you have, the more you can do those type of touches. Mm-hmm. You don't have a chance to mail something to them if you don't have their address. You can't email them if you don't have their email address. So a lot of your systematic communication, it breaks down when you lack information.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It gives you the ability to communicate in a diverse amount of ways, right? Rather than just the phone call or text, which is good, but if you layer on different communication methods, right? Being able to send something in the mail, or being able to email them, right? Knowing when their birthday is so that you can be timely. And a little strategy, if you have your database in command, when you open up the app on the front screen, what is one of the key metrics that it shows you? I want to see, Hunter, zip your mouth. I'm trying to test this out, Corey.
The birthday or the home anniversary?
Yep, birthdays. So there's both how many home anniversaries you have this month, and then it shows birthdays in the next 30 days. And when you click on it, it shows you your entire database that has a birthday in the next 30 days, when their birthday is, and then literally you can click the button of call. Now, I strategically will call 4 or 5 days in advance, because what are they typically doing on their birthday?
Not talking to you.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to you, right? They're hanging out with family or
they
traveling,
have to reply
whatever it
to
is.
every Facebook post that they have.
Yep. And so if you call them 4 or 5 days in advance and you just say, hey, I know your birthday's coming up. I'm going to be super busy. I know you're probably going to be doing stuff. So I just wanted to call in advance and wish you an amazing year ahead. Do you guys have any plans for your birthday or for the new year, whatever it is, right? What do you think that does for that relationship? What does it show?
Concern,
Intention, right? Most people, how do they know about other people's birthday?
I see that.
They see it. Facebook shows them, right? When you call 4 to 5 days in advance, they start to think, this person actually might know my birthday, right? Which luckily you do, because you put it in the app and it's telling you this person has a birthday. So when it talks about communicating in a systematic way, it's about cadence, so how consistently you can engage, but then also being able to do it in different ways, so different communication methods. And then 2 is MOFers, so outcome-driven messaging, which Cam will talk about in a second. But I'm going to just show you a ninja tip or a black belt tip for this season. Now, if you're going to do this, you've got like 7 days to do it. You got to do it. You got to jump on it, okay? But this is the easiest way that I've found to collect all 4 pieces of information in a very fast way. Is you build a text message that says, hey, we're putting together some Christmas cards. We'd love to send you one. Can you fill this out for me? Okay. You text this to everybody that you don't yet have all that information for. So this is a website. It's called postable.com. It's free to do this. When you set up an account, you then will have, under the address section, this little link that will be customized to you. And it will let you customize this page. And this is the link that you'll text with that message that you're texting to people. And you can customize everything that it's going to ask for here. So this is what I personally ask for, but you can customize it. So if you just want to ask for their name and email, that's fine. I think you might as well go for all 4 pieces of information at one time. So on this link, it's going to ask for their first name, last name, email, phone number, birthday, and home address all in one shot. Now, they're thinking I'm doing this just to send them a Christmas gift. What am I going to use this for throughout the rest of the year or coming years? sending them all types of valuable resources, right? And it's going to start with probably an invitation to a client event, or maybe it is a birthday card in the mail, right? Things like that. So I'm going to be able to enhance the experience of how I'm able to communicate with them. You can customize like the theme, the color, everything. This is free. So it's very easy to use. Just take some time to set up, maybe 10 minutes. But again, you can then go through and customize what you ask for. I asked for the core 4 pieces of info, and I'll send this. Last year, I think I had 70, 80 people that responded and put their information in there for me. And so then what I'll do every year moving forward is quickly go through on command. You can, I don't know, depending on what CRM you use in command, you can filter by people you don't have a home address for. If I don't have their home address, likely they didn't fill this out for me. So I'm removing everybody who I have a home address for and exporting that list, and that's who I'm texting this to the next year. Does that make sense? So that way I can refine or whittle down that list of who I'm sending this to. And then on the platform, either you're creating your own, cards to send through Canva or whatever you're wanting to use, or the platform will do it for you. You can send them through here, or you can, in which they already have all the addresses and everything, so you can just have it send it to everybody who filled it out, or you can just have them mail you the cards and then you're hand addressing them and sending them out manually. Does that make sense? So this platform's super simple. Obviously, this part is what does cost, is if you're going to mail things through their platform, that's where the cost comes into play. But that list of data that you mined through their platform, you can export for free, and then you can import it into command. Okay, so it makes it very simple.
Shoney, before this, I have a thought on that. I don't know what words I want to use. Excuse or value are the two that come to mind.
Yeah.
But you are looking for an excuse for yourself to reach out and ask for these things, and then you want them to see the value in whatever it is. So your excuse is, I'm going to send a Christmas card. The value to them is, I'm going to get a Christmas card. But you can do this whenever you want.
Yep.
There's a few times where it's a little bit easier because of built-in norms. You get married, you just give out your address. People will give you your address.
Yeah.
You could just say, I got into real estate. What's your address? And some people might just respond to you, but not everyone will, because they don't know what the value is they're getting back. And so if you have an excuse for yourself, it's really easy to ask. And if they see some sort of value. So like events are a very easy one throughout the year, right? I'm going to host this event. If you want to come, give me this information.
Yep.
It's my excuse to reach out to you. It's the value you're going to get to give me your contact info.
Totally. Yeah, Corey.
Another good reason, it kind of works throughout the year, is you can do it as a quarterly basis, but make it consistent, so it doesn't just look like your data mining and stuff, and do Home Depot and Lowe's gift cards, giveaways, and request the information so that
Yep.
you can give
That's your excuse. I'm doing a giveaway.
to your neighbors.
It's valuable to them. They'll give you info. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Great route. And that's where too, when we do our calls, we want to have what is the value that I'm actually going to be offering. And if you are doing this at a high level, you're probably going to have 4 to 5 different things of value you could offer. And what you're listening for are cues to say which one would be the most valuable for them. Okay. For example, if you were doing I know, Angie, do you still do your seminars? So if you had maybe an investment seminar come up, because you used to rotate them, right? Buyers, sellers, investors.
We have 2. So our last one that we just did, we have 2 that are under contract that came.
Oh, wow.
on that.
Sweet.
So it's so crazy to me that I can go, you're 60 days out and we'll close at 90 days from the
Yeah.
time the seminar happened.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was a market update on that one.
Cool. And so which seminar was it?
We just did a market update.
A market
real
update.
estate market update and then we did 5 creative financing options that we reviewed.
Cool. Okay. So when you're on a call with somebody, right, maybe in that kind of setting, you might just offer it to everybody, right? But in some conversations, you might find the client is like, yeah, I have a couple rental properties, or I am looking to invest in 2025, whatever it may be. That would be a cue of, I'm not going to offer my mobile app where they can search for homes. Instead, I'm going to actually invite them to my investment seminar that I'm hosting, right? So that's where it's valuable to have maybe just a short list of what are the 5 things I'm offering this month or this quarter, where when I'm on a call, I can say which one would be the most valuable for this person in this context, right? and then say, for example, even your email newsletter, very simple. Hey, I'd love to send this to you. It just gives you some data, some insight around what's happening in the Utah real estate market. Is it cool if I send it to you? Now, when they say yes, the simple answer is great. What's the best email to send this to? Right. So then you're trading value. You're giving something rather than just asking for something. Right. So love that you pointed that out. It is all about either you having a good excuse for why you need their home address or their birthday or whatever it is, or you have something of value that you're trading for their item of value, which is their information.
MOFers. Raise your hand if you know what a MOFer means. A few of you. Okay.
Susie, only one person.
So it is make offer for immediate response. This is the solution if you are looking for now business, which this is kind of what we're talking about. How do you get business now? So make offer for immediate response. There's a simple formula to figure out exactly how to fill this in. So Gary Keller, when he teaches it, the first thing you do, and we're going to do this together, okay? First thing you do is you identify a problem. So what is a problem that one of your buyers or sellers has right now? Real problem. Why is someone not buying or selling right now? Interest rates. Okay, let's go off of that one because I've done this one before with interest rates, so I have answers to this one. Love it. So if interest rates were lower, would more people buy? Would people sell? Okay, there's our problem. We need to solve for that. So the next step is you need to figure out a solution. How do you get a lower interest rate?
Buy down the rate.
You can buy it down, negotiate it. What else?
Builders have good offers.
Seller financing, builders. Looking at Rudy in the back. He's got no answers for me.
I do. 2-1 buy down.
2-1 buy downs. If you were to, let's just go with the 2-1 buy down. If you were to interview all of your clients, like your whole sphere, and you call them and say, I have a quiz for you. What is a 2-1 buy down? How many people do you think know what that means? Only the ones you've already pitched it to. So is a 2-1 buy down a way to get a cheaper rate? Right? You get a lower rate for the first year, then it goes up a little bit, and then you go to the normal rate if you don't know what a 2-1 buy down is. So if someone could get a 4% rate for a year, do you think they'd buy a house? What if it went up to 5? What if it then went to 6? Like, that's the kind of marketing that you could give to someone. So we just figured out a solution. We named like 5 or 6 different, by the way. So if we just went 2-1 buy down. So identify the problem, figure out some sort of solution. By the way, it doesn't need to be crazy creative. You just need to figure out your solution. The next, we're going to package it up. So we're going to make it very simple for these buyers in this case to use a 2-1 buy down. So that might mean getting with your specific lender that you know is really good at this. You need to know how much closing costs and all of that and work that into your negotiations. And then the last thing you do is you name it and market it. So we're not going to call it a 2-1 buy down because who can do a 2-1 buy down? Everyone. But if you have some creative name around it, it makes it that much better. I'll give you a real life example. The first appointment that I ever set, I was Clay's admin. I had never talked to a lead before. And one day he went out of town and somehow a signed call got forwarded to me. I said the exact same thing that I heard Clay Winder say every single day, and I set an appointment, and I was 1 for 1. And I didn't want to talk to anyone else, so I'd have a perfect record. But it was very simple. This worked like a decade ago. It probably won't work now, but what he would say is someone would call on a house, and 9 times out of 10, that house was already under contract. And so he would say that. He would reiterate the problem. Like, oh, hey, this one already has an offer. You're probably getting this a lot, right? People would say, yeah. Well, I have a solution for you. I call it the See It First program. I'm going to go out and scour the market and try to find you a good deal that doesn't have an offer on it. I'm going to look at the HUD homes, the foreclosures, the short sales, the everything that's out there, the pocket listings. And when I find something that matches your criteria, I'll send it to you, and then we can go see it the same day. Does that sound like an aggressive approach that you would like in an agent? You know what they would say? Yep. And so then you say, great, to get you started, we'd have to just come into my office and sit down, and I can set you up on it. So what does this sound like to you? Let's break this down. Clay's Mofer of the See It First program. Do you guys send houses? Do you scour the market for good deals? How do you scour the market? You probably have a hot sheet coming to yourself from the MLS. That's all Clay did. And then when he saw something that matched their criteria, he would send it off to the clients. So he was completing his promise. Do you guys go show properties the same day if you find a good deal? Of course you would. So he is doing nothing different than all of you. He just had a package around it. He called it the See It First program, and it was the easiest way to set appointments. I told Clay, I was like, you need to come up with the seller version of this, because that is super simple to set appointments. So you can do that same thing. That's the idea of the Mofer. Find the problem, figure out what's your solution, and then market around it. Wrap it all into your business as a program that you offer. Then that's where you can go out and market like crazy. If you put this out there, people will start to be like, hey, yeah, you're the person that does this, right? You're the person that helps so-and-so type of people. Which is another thought around this Mofer. During Mega Camp, Phil Jones came. He's the exactly what to say guy. If you haven't read his books, do it. I have like a man crush on him. Phil Jones is amazing. Side note, at Mega Camp, I sat down and Phil came and sat right in front of me. So I talked to him for a minute, super cool guy. He set his notebook down and walked away. And I was like, I got to steal this notebook. But I didn't. I was a good person. I definitely took a picture. I texted to someone else who I know has a man crush on him, and I was like, should I steal his notebook? He said yes, but I didn't do it. So Phil, he has this thought. He calls it the 3x3. It's the same kind of idea with this Mofer, but what you're going to do is you're going to look at your 3 main clients that you work with, and you're going to identify 3 problems that they have. So that will give you 9 different people that you could potentially go look and solve their problems. If you could have a solution for all 9 of them, then you can make these calls. And he gives a very simple script that I wrote down. So then as you call people, you can handpick one of these people, right? And you say something like, you know how some people, and name the problem that they have, right? You know how most people would move, but the interest rates are too high for them? Kind of an idea. Which means that's the next line in it. So you know most people, problem, which means that. So interest rates are too high, which means that they don't move and they're stuck in their house. I help those people achieve, and what do you help them achieve? Get out of their crappy little house and into something they actually want. And then which means that again, right? So his script is, you know most people, many people, some people, which means that. I help those people achieve, which means that. So this is a call that you can make around your Mofer. If you come up with this interest rate idea, you know how most people want to move, but they're stuck because of their interest rate? Well, I help those people find a home with an affordable rate that they can qualify for so they can get into a home now. Who do you know that would love to move but are stuck because of their interest rate? And now you've just opened up people. You can get referrals and go from there. Questions, thoughts, ideas? John.
Cameron, just one, and can you reiterate that opening line that you gave me like a week ago regarding people that I'm going to call on my list that I have no idea who the heck they are, how I got their number or anything?
Oh yeah, so this is another Phil Jones. If you have someone that you don't 100% know, or you haven't talked to in a while, it's a polite opening, a mutual agreeable fact, and then an easy to answer question. And so I could be like, hey, John, how are you? I don't know if I'd say how are you. That doesn't follow the framework. But then a mutual agreeable fact. John, we haven't talked in so long. What are you doing nowadays? That's polite opening, a mutual agreeable fact, and an easy to answer question. Works great with leads as well. Hey, I met you at an open house 3 months ago. Are you still looking to buy? Very simple. If you haven't read Exactly What to Say, you 100% should. It's a great one. He's got a bunch of scripts like that and frameworks.
Yeah, another book that I would add on that list, I mentioned it probably a year ago, it's been a while. Has anybody read $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy? Okay, a few of you. So this book is how do you create Grand Slam offers or MOFers for other terms. And here's 3 quotes. I'm going back looking at my notes, and there's 4 pieces actually that stood out to me. One of the things that he said in the book is the more value you can provide, the less you have to sell. So just think about that from like a foundational perspective of how do I want to create my business? Do I want to have to call and sell people on buying real estate with me? Or do I just want to provide so much value by the time that they need to buy or sell, the only person that pops in their mind is me, right? So that's just one of those side things that takes more time to build your business this way. But what I'll tell you is that you end up like one of our top agents where they get repeat and referral business, and it's so much less effort than having to be on the other side of that stick. And one of the things he said as well is the better you understand and I want you to really pay attention to this one. He said, the better you understand your customer's pain, the better you can solve it. And he pairs that with listen to your market. They'll tell you exactly what they want. Now, did we not just go through the number one reason? I'm very confident in this. This is the number one reason why buyers are probably on the fence today is interest rates or affordability. Would you agree with that? So why is that not the one thing that we're solving for? Where we have 7 to 10 different ways that we can help them navigate that. And then how are we actually communicating that in different ways? Right? So when it comes to your messaging, what you want to do is say, well, what are the programs or the offers I can make that solve that one problem? Because for the sellers, some of you top listing agents, do sellers not also have the exact same problem? I have a seller in Saratoga Springs right now where they're transferring roughly $250,000 in equity from their current home into the next home. And guess what the number one thing is they're thinking about on the buy side is their monthly payment, right? It's not going to be the same as their current home, even though they're transferring a huge amount of equity. And so, funny enough, if you solve that one problem, it not only helps the buyers, it helps you get more listings as well. And you have to ask yourself, how well am I doing at communicating this effectively, and how often am I communicating it, and in different ways, right? Am I doing it through social media, through my email newsletter, through text messages, through phone calls? Like, how many different ways am I layering the solution to today's biggest problem to people in my sphere? Does that make sense? Yeah. One other thing that he's said in the book is people don't buy products or services, they buy outcomes. People do not buy products or services, they buy outcomes. I was having a conversation with a friend who's been in the business for less than a year. He's closed 4 or 5 deals now, and he was mentioning a client who had reached out to him and was pretty excited about buying a home. And he goes through and asks some questions, and they say, well, we've saved up about $15,000. Okay. And his response was, oh, that's good, but you probably need to save more. So just keep saving, and then I'll stay in touch, and we'll help you get into a home. Now, I see some of our top producers with grins or scowls on their face. Like, are you kidding me? Because guess what he ended up having happen 2 months down the road? He saw a post on Facebook that they had just bought their first home. Okay, you need to be so solution-oriented or focused as a real estate professional and say, okay, if they have 15,001, they've already shown effort, right, to get into a home. And then aren't there 4 or 5 different ways? That's a good chunk of change. There's many ways that we can help a person with that kind of cash get into a home, right? Now, from his experience, unfortunately, he helped a client buy a townhome and a condo, and he's like, they needed way more than $15,000 for the down payment. So I just assumed that they needed more money, right? So what I would tell you is that people buy outcomes. So what you want to do is be able to show them the outcome you're going to help them to achieve. So if the number one outcome is affordability, people want affordability in today's market, how are you as a real estate professional helping them to accomplish that? Do you have 5 to 7 different ways, which we just mentioned a few of them, right? 2-1 buy downs, ARM, 15-year ARM is one that I actually have helped a client with, where most likely they're not going to live in the home for 15 years, right? And so they're getting a really good rate for that first 15-year period. Now the goal is to refinance in that time or transition into a new home within that time or refinance. And so you just have to say, well, do I have multiple solutions that's going to help them with their biggest problem? One last piece on this, David Green. Who's familiar with that name? Okay. So David Green, one of the hosts of the Bigger Pockets podcast, he's a Keller Williams agent in Vegas. You can go look at this on YouTube. This was when I first looked at it. It was probably 4 months in to this post on a YouTube video. But his caption was, 3% interest rates are back. Reach out to find out how. He had 240,000 views in just a few months. Okay, what is he marketing? The outcome, a solution. And then who's clicking on that?
Everyone.
People who have that problem and want the solution, right? So same thing if you post that on Facebook. Funny thing, I posted something similar. I just reworded his stuff, posted it on Facebook last year. I had probably 10 real estate agents reach out and say, hey, how do I get that lower interest rate? Which is funny, right? But ultimately, you're going to see the people who are raising their hand saying, hey, how does that work? They're the ones that are actually the hottest potential buyers in your pipeline. So that's the cool thing with MOFRs is it actually gets, it's kind of like if you were in this room and I were to find, if I wanted to know right now who in this room likes pizza, what would be the best thing for me to do? Ask. And then get you guys to do what? Raise your hand. So then I can highlight who likes pizza, right? So with this strategy with MOFRs, you're doing the same thing. Anybody who's interested in the MOFR, the outcome you're trying to present, that raises their hand, you know that's the person you're going to now target or market to. Does that make sense? So just a little bit extra for MOFRs is this is a great strategy, different marketing approach that gets way better results than reactive marketing. Cool. That's it for today. Any final questions, thoughts, or ahas from today's conversation?
Very good.
Thanks, John. Thank you.
Pages and notes.
Awesome. Let's get maybe 2 or 3 ahas. What are the 2 or 3 things that stood out? Angie.
People do not buy products. They products or services. They buy the outcomes.
That's great.
That was big aha.
Yeah.
So
John.
one of the ahas along the same line is when you were talking about outcomes, what I did was I equated outcome with, in our case, solution, because our customers come to us with problems and they need solutions.
Yeah, that's great. Susie.
Okay, when you said the more value you provide, the less you have to sell, that is 100% true.
Yeah.
I just think if we continue to just show up, provide so much value, you don't have to go out and sell it yourself, which is a lot of effort.
Totally. Yep. Cool. Cam, anything?
Nope.
Let's wrap up.
Go
Awesome.
and execute.
Go and conquer. Okay.